Hi everyone, Coach Sullivan here again from MGS Coaching Football. My background, this is my 38th year coaching football. I've either been a defensive, offensive, or special teams coordinator as well as a head coach at both the collegiate and high school levels. In this presentation, I want to talk to you about one of our red zone goal line fronts packages that we use, especially as we get closer to our own goal line versus two back personnel, in this case 21. We're very likely to utilize this front package, which would also necessitate some personnel changes. Okay, we call it Bulldog. And honestly, at the time, the defensive coordinator at Yale University, Rick Flanders, a friend of mine, I was down meeting with him, and I asked him, what's your best front in a goal line, short yardage situation, possibly red zone against all personnel groupings? What would the one thing you would go to be? And he gave me something similar to this. And the reason I call it Bulldog is because Bulldog was the mascot for Yale. So that's where the name comes from. Okay. I'm not going to talk about red bracket coverage. That's a whole nother presentation. But for now, I would like to talk to you about Bulldog as a short yardage, goal line, possibly red zone front versus 21 personnel. Okay. So first of all, the rules of the Bulldog front, as it says up here, right? The whip and the rover travel to the tight end, right? 21, two backs, one tight end, they go to the tight end. So the rover is somebody who puts his hand down in this front. So the rover is going to be most likely a fourth defensive lineman. Okay. Rover and nose and stud. I just keep them called rover because I don't want to mess around with names. It gets a little too confusing. So, similar to rover in a regular package, base personnel goes to the tight end, and rover goes to the tight end here as well. See, so that's why I don't change the names. So this is most likely, unless your rover is a pretty big kid, this is another defensive lineman. So this will be a substitution situation. Okay, your normal rover would leave, another D lineman comes on, knowing he's the rover. The whip, probably more of an outside linebacker, but again, I'm not changing names. Okay, so this would be most likely another outside linebacker. So we'll keep four defensive linemen, two outside and two inside linebackers. And although, depending, this might be another inside linebacker. So we could theoretically, we'll always have 40 linemen. We could go with three inside linebackers here and one outside linebacker. Okay, so these are all the things you got to fit your personnel, all right, in the scheme. And if you really don't have the kids, then don't even try to run this. Okay, I just would suggest you don't try and run it, assuming you have the kids to run it. Okay. The beautiful part of the Bulldog front is you always have one more box defender than gaps to defend. So in this formation, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 gaps, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 defenders. So there's always one more box defender than there is gaps to defend. And the more of the Bulldog presentations that you watch, you'll see that. Okay? So in this one, 7 gaps to defend, we have 8 defenders in the box. All right? So right off the bat, whip and roll will go to the tight end. So therefore, the end is forced to bump down to a 3 because the end and studs still stay left and right. That we don't mess with either, right? Keep things as consistent as you can from package to package. So if the tight end's left, the nose knows he's bumping down to a 3. The end, knows he's bumping down to a 3 technique. Nose bumps away. Right, so everybody bumps away from the tight end. Okay, rover, end, nose, and stud. So now you get a 1 and a 5 opposite the tight end. Okay, the linebackers, the Mike and the backer both go to the tight end side. So now what that means, okay, the Mike is going to be on the tight end. What we just say, you're going to be C split on the tight end. So that means outside toe and a tight end's inside toe. The backer is going to line up on an A split on the center, which means inside toe on the center's toe. Technically outside toe, both of the center's toes are outside, but you know what I mean? So he's lined up in A gap, he's lined up in the C gap, okay? So even though the dime is in the box, he has force. So he's a 51, and he's going to be real scraping out here, setting the edge. And the 31, the backer, is the B gap or the 3-hole away from the tight end, his A gap that he's lined up in. Okay? The mic, what's meant by shoot support, which we don't use except for in this front, 71, right? 1, 3, 5, 7. He is setting the tight edge here. So both inside linebackers have force on their sides, okay? Orbit here, because it's the dime, so it's technically outside linebacker, even though it'd be an inside linebacker body. And the mic is shoot, because anytime the mic or the backer has force, it's called shoot support, okay? So that is how we align our box personnel. I'll save for another presentation how we handle tight end trade, okay? But not in this lecture. The corners line up as you see, 1x3 Ike, which means inside leverage. So if he's off the ball, he'll be up tighter to the line, and if he's on the ball, he'll be a little further back, not quite inside linebacker depth. By the way, they're all toes at 4, okay? As the ball gets closer to the goal line, we always say, put your toes on the goal line. So they might theoretically only be a yard off the ball, but obviously this diagram, they're not in that situation, okay? And so it's the same, whereas inside toes up, inside toe up, inside toe up, all those things stay the same as far as stance. So what I will talk about is the corner's got one man, and that's it. That's all I'm going to talk about coverage-wise. If he motions across, we say it's corner over. We're not trying to hide the fact that we're in man. Not down here. Ball's on the goal line. All right, it's short yardage, or we're in pure man. All right, we do have help in the middle, but we're in pure man. Okay, so if he motions over in a MAC, motion across, corner runs behind the linebackers, but he goes over, and we call it corner over. Okay, so yes, if they come out nigh twin, corner over, both corners are here. And same thing, if two were to motion to this point, the corner would go with them again. Okay? The only adjusting the safety would do is if one of the two running backs were to motion out, now the safety is the adjuster on that. So now we won't have anybody in the middle of the field. Again, it's a goal line, short yardage, red zone, front package against two-back running set. We're not worried about having deep help over the top. As they get close to our goal line, the field you got to defend shrinks, okay? So the basics of our Bulldog package, we don't change anybody's names, but we change body types. So this will be a defensive lineman playing rover. This will be an outside linebacker playing whip. This will be an inside linebacker playing the dime. So we have 3 inside linebackers, 40 linemen, and 1 outside linebacker. 2 corners and a safety. And sometimes this will be a third corner. We'll play 3 corners if we're fully expecting them to motion out of back, okay? And or if we just feel like we'd be better served to have more speed on the field, okay? We're not likely going to put safeties out here on number 1s. If there's a height issue, we'll handle it with the tallest defender who's an athlete that we have, and that's how we'll address it, okay? So again, this is an introduction to one of our short yardage, goal line, red zone, potentially front packages that we'll utilize versus two-back personnel. Okay, in this case, we're talking 21 personnel. As always, please, you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at coachmjsullivan@gmail.com, and I'm going to love to talk football with you.